To have a great FPL season requires three key factors. You need a great game week 1 squad, you need to know when to replace those players to attack fixture swings, and you need to cash in your trips in the right game weeks. And today I'm putting my cards on the table and showing you my master plan for the first half of the season. And in just a few short minutes you will be stronger whether you agree with my personal choices or not, because you will know how to make your squad perfect for you. And not only that, as well as exposing my blueprints, I will explain some of the other options available, the strengths to those approaches and why I'm rejecting them. And as a little bonus, I'll let you in on a few of the secret psychological tricks I use when those bad game weeks come. The techniques which keep my eye on the prize and focused on the huge points ahead. And I'll do it all using only information and tools free to everyone, because you do not need to pay when you know how to play. So let's get right into it, because your time is precious and you don't need me waffling on when we've so much to get through. To build an elite game week 1 draft, you need to analyse the fixtures and when best to attack them. But don't you worry, because I've already done it for you. On the screen I've highlighted the best fixture runs for each team throughout the season, because this is how I start visualising my squad. This enables us to see the best windows for those fixture swings. And then what I like to do now is rearrange those fixtures to put those with the best opening games at the top. And while we're at it, we'll ignore the fixtures after game week 20, because we get a second wildcard then, and the fixtures and strategy will change as the cups move the fixtures around. All we need to focus on right now is those first 19 game weeks. So now we see the teams with the best runs of games to start the season, and they are Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Nottingham Forest, Spurs, Sunderland and Wolves. I've ignored the poor opening day for Bournemouth and Wolves because their subsequent runs are delightful and anything can happen in game week 1. And I know including Manchester United on that list will cause some of you to think I don't know what I'm on about, but I think those fixtures look wonderful for their attackers. I think they beat Arsenal at home on the opening day. I think they score at the Etihad and at Anfield. And if they do, there's an argument to keep their attackers all the way through the first 19 game weeks, especially given they have no European distractions. So I look at those highlighted runs when it comes to planning my transfers, and I can see right away, for example, I can have Man United game weeks 1 to 7, Arsenal game weeks 7 to 12, then Man United from game week 13 onwards. I can have Villa from game weeks 1 to 8, Brighton from 7 to 15, then Fulham or Brentford to sign in game week 15. I can start with Tarkowski for 3 weeks while assessing Liverpool's new defence. I'd be happy with Chelsea all the way through to game week 16. So now I know the best teams to take my starting squad from, the best windows for switching between certain teams, and also when to hold particular players. Now there are always exceptions for exceptional players. After all, the big names are the big names because they deliver in the big games. But with those identified teams dominating my selections and transfers, I know every time I look at my team, I will have good fixtures, whichever players are in. And this is psychological tip number 1 for maximising enjoyment of the game, because however bad the current game week turns out to be, I can look at my squad for the next week and I'll know I have a great chance of flipping the script. And if I do have a great week, well, it's just going to be even better next time out. So now we move to phase 2 of formulating our master plan, and this is why it is so important to figure out those fixture runs, because they are what inform our chip choices. Now this is where the real divergence of strategy comes into play, because a lot of people do not like the bench boost, and they see Burnley versus Sunderland in game week 2 as an ideal opportunity to play 15 players whilst maximising money in the first 11. And if that's how you want to play the game, that's fine. You might only get 8 points, but if you're happy with that, then fair enough. I just think wasting a bench boost on such poor assets is bad FPL play, because a much greater opportunity awaits further down the line. You see, when we looked at those fixtures a couple of minutes ago, something very powerful stood out to me, and that is that game week 13 begins a great run of fixtures for Liverpool, Man United, Man City and my beloved Newcastle. A run that extends for several game weeks, and one which includes us all being gifted 5 free transfers in game week 16. And then in game week 15, just 2 game weeks later, those teams play Wolves, Leeds, Sunderland and Burnley. So if our squad has 12 players from Liverpool, Man United, Man City and Newcastle, and then we get 3 players from Brighton who play West Ham at home, and Spurs who play Brentford at home, we will have 15 outstanding players against the 6 teams most likely to fight relegation, and 4 of those games are at home. I mean, look at this team for one example, and yes, everyone knows Liverpool want Isak, but you could switch Ekitike out for whomever Newcastle hypothetically replace Isak with. Possibly the exquisite finisher Johan Wissa, and it is still an elite squad. You could switch things around to get Haaland and end up with this team, with Dorgu versus Wolves and triple Brighton at home to West Ham as your bench boost, and you're not even spending that much money. And that is just with the 100 million starting budget. By game week 15, my squad value could be £3 million higher, and that £3 million could go a long way. And there are so many other great options available in game week 15 too. And I know people say, but then you have to carry so much money on your bench and it's a waste. But we get 5 free transfers the game week after, and we have to use one if we don't want to lose it, so even that is an easy fix. Wildcard 13, bench boost 15 is a strategy for me, and even if I lose a little bit of ground in the early weeks, I believe that plan will see me right by game week 19. As for triple captain, well, that's easy for me. I'll be going in game week 19, in which the fixtures from game week 15 are reversed. The specific player I'll decide nearer the time, but that game week is the perfect final game week of the first half of the season. Now, I could go earlier if I feel an opportunity is there. If, say, Haaland is imperious before that Burnley game in game week 6, or if an elite player is up against an injury-ravaged team. But I am very happy to save it for game week 19 and pick the best player from a wide range of options. For the free hit, if I need to use it early, then I am happy to do so, but hopefully I won't have to, because a free hit in game week 17 is perfect for my strategy. Because my master plan involves going all in on Newcastle, Man United, Man City and Liverpool in game week 13, game week 17 looks the best game week to negate the most difficult fixtures for the most members of my squad. That game week has Newcastle at home to Chelsea, Man United away to Villa and Liverpool away to Spurs. All games those teams could win and do very well in, but they aren't fixtures you'd target. However, with the free hit, those 9 players could become 9 from Bournemouth, Brighton and Palace. 3 excellent attacking teams up against the promoted clubs, with only Palace away from home. Add in the 3 Man City players at home to West Ham, and some subs from the Wolves versus Brentford game, and that feels the perfect time to free hit, with the potential for a sensational outcome. So that is my master plan for my trip strategy. Wildcard game week 13, bench boost game week 15, free hit game week 17 and triple captain game week 19. It's very different to most of the other ones I've seen floated, and I like that too, because I'm trying to win this game, and if you do what everyone else does, you will never do enough to break out from the pack. And this fits perfectly with my psychological tip number 2 for maximising my enjoyment of the game. Because if I do fall behind in the early game weeks, it's fine, because I know my turn will come. I will have that late charge and I will build some incredible momentum, and there will be nothing my rivals can do about it. And for me, I'd rather be calm during an early crisis knowing I will turn it around in a few weeks than be sat there watching all my positive vibes evaporate late on and having absolutely no way to do anything to stop it. Some people choose the payday loan of that immediate points payoff. I prefer to mortgage long-term confidence, performance and hope against the value of those later chips. Trust me, it always feels better to get a long run of green arrows, especially when your rivals are hamstrung by their early sprint. Not to forget, if you plan your chips for later on, you always have the option of moving them forward should the need arise, that get out of jail free card. But if you blitz them early, it's a long time until they are replenished, and an awful lot of people will have the upper hand. So with the fixture runs and the chip strategy sorted, now it's time for the draft. And the first thing I do is sort out the bench, and this is where the defensive contributions shine for me, because while I think they should be seen as a bonus for the starting 11, I think they are perfect for your substitutes. What I want for my bench is 3 DEFCON monsters, because that will limit the temptation to start them, but I will know that should one of my first 11 ever miss out, whichever of my 3 subs comes in, they have a strong chance of a minimum of 4 points. And for my substitute defenders, I like a pairing of Joachim Andersen and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because until my game week 13 wildcard, they have a lovely fixture rotation, so I will always have a great DEFCON defender on my bench with a good game. They do both have tougher fixtures in game weeks 2 and 3, but I'm confident my starting defenders can last 3 game weeks. And I'll be honest with you, like I always am, I was not sold on Anderson at all, and I'm still not, truth be told, but my pal Trigger, he's been banging his drum for weeks, so I looked into the data, and did you know that Anderson averages 9.86 DEFCONs a game? Did you know that Fulham ranked 5th in the expected goals conceded over the course of the season, better than Chelsea, Villa, Man City and that much vaunted Nottingham Forest defence? Or that Joachim Andersen had 14 headed attempts from corners? Neither did I. I thought my man Trigger had been infected by the algorithms, that those AI androids had terminated his FPL nous, but having researched it independently, perhaps the Skynet could be the limit for the Fulham man. So for me, Andersen and Wan-Bissaka are those solid, reliable DEFCON magnets on my bench, and the perfect third sub is Elliot Anderson, the Geordie Maradona, another DEFCON monster who is absolutely nailed and who will now have a greater share of set pieces. 3 excellent subs with an excellent chance of picking up points in any game week, but with enough limitations that I will not be stressing about having to bench them. And that is psychological tip number 3. Pick a bench to have great subs, minutes monsters with routes to points, but who you will not care about leaving on the bench in any particular game week. It saves you being tortured every week by who to play, and it minimises the regret of benching the wrong player. Now it's time for my goalkeepers, and I am happy to spend £9 million on my goalkeepers to start the season. Many will go with Dubravka as their sub-keeper so they can play that early bench boost, and that's fine. My only suggestion is, if you're going for a 4.5 million starting keeper, ignore Kelleher and instead get Petrovic of Bournemouth or Jose Sarr, because I firmly believe Brentford are in big trouble. Southampton used to be heralded as the plucky club who could sell their best players and keep on ticking. right up until the moment the floor fell out and they went down, and they have never recovered since. Brentford's loss of their iconic manager, defensive midfield captain, their talismanic goal scoring winger and most likely their predatory finisher is simply too much at once, and I can't see them recovering. So Sarr or Petrovic over Kelleher makes a lot of sense to me. If you're going for a 5 million goalkeeper, then Robert Sanchez is the obvious one because he has the best fixture run for the longest time. For my team though, I don't need to consider bench boost, so I'm going to ignore Sanchez and take a bit of a gamble. And my goalkeeping duo will be both Vicario and Kinski of Spurs. Now I know Spurs were diabolical defensively last season, however their starting centre halves of Van de Ven and Romero missed a combined 46 league games. Vicario missed another 12. They had Big Ange as manager, now they have Thomas Franklin. Romero and Van de Ven are fit. They have defensive powerhouse Paulinho in midfield. I expect them to be much tighter at the back, and of the non-Sanchez goalkeepers, they have the best fixtures until my game week 13 wildcard. Also, it keeps that Chelsea slot free, which you will see is very important. Rounding out the defence are the premium powerhouses Milenkovic, Cucurella and Mateus Nunes. Easy picks. If the Defcons were in play last season, Milenkovic would have been the highest scoring defender. Cucurella has insane attacking threat and beautiful fixtures all the way to my wildcard. I know you think Mateus Nunes is daft, but the combination of Nunes and those Defcon dominators on my bench, that will get me 200 plus points from that slot. Mateus Nunes is the FPL cheat code everyone is overlooking except for me and my man D-Unit, and if you want to know exactly why, go and watch my video from the other day, which I will link at the end. Now we look at the midfield, and the headline news is no Mohamed Salah, and yes it is a gamble, and yes it could go wrong, and if it does, so be it. It's easy enough to fix with 2 transfers. What I've done here is gone with big players from big teams. Cole Palmer, talisman, great fixtures, penalties. Bruno Fernandes, talisman, great attacking fixtures, 1,000 routes to points, penalties. Florian Wirtz, the first player in my 11 who does not fit the attack the fixtures ethos, but also one of the most talented players to join the league in years. Now look, I made a great case for avoiding him in a video a couple of weeks ago, and I stand by those reasons why he may fall. However, I will give you just 2 words as to why he may fly, and those 2 words are David Silva. Everyone thought Silva would be too lightweight for the league, that his numbers would be exposed, that he would be found out, and what happened? He made the game look easy. Florian Wirtz is as close to David Silva as you can get, and I expect the same outcome. Now Reinders is the gamble. All I know about him is a goal every 3 games for Milan and 2 goals in 45 minutes at the weekend. Even so, I remember triple captaining Gundogan once and getting 19 points in 40 minutes or something before he went off injured. With those fixtures Man City have, I'm prepared to back Reinders to have a similar impact. What is FPL after all if we can't succumb to some pre-season hype around a player we know absolutely sod all about? And then my 5th midfielder, well, it's not actually Elliot Anderson, not yet. This is where the aggression comes into FPL. This is where I go on the attack. Because my 5th midfielder is Brennan Johnson, the Spurs top scorer with Burnley at home in his opening game. And look, I know he isn't nailed, and I don't care, because he's here for a good time, not a long time, and Burnley at home is as good as it gets. But there is a strategy at play here, because up front I have Jorgen Strand Larsen, Ollie Watkins and Victor Gyökeres. And with Brennan Johnson, I can bench Strand Larsen for that Man City game, then switch them in game week 2 when it's Johnson against City. Ollie Watkins needs absolutely no explanation, not with his 414 points in 2 seasons and beautiful opening games. And Gyökeres, well, he's another spicy punt, and I like it for 3 reasons. Number 1, I am someone who loves a narrative, and Gyökeres making his debut against a manager who made him is as good as it gets. 2, I want a great game week 2 captain, and Gyökeres at home to Leeds is delightful. And reason number 3, when game week 3 rolls around, I can sell Brennan Johnson for Elliot Anderson, completing that DEFCON Dominator bench. Those leftover funds combined with the 9 million of Gyökeres, that gives me £10.5 million. Just enough to switch Gyökeres to Joao Pedro if that friendly fire continues to burn, with enough left to upgrade Reinders to Marmoush in game week 4 if that Reinders punt fails. Or depending upon how his future is resolved, it's just enough money to switch Gyökeres to Alexander Isak, just about to start a great run of games, whether it's for Liverpool or Newcastle. It's a good strategy, it's a risky strategy, but it's a good one, and it's one I think could take me all the way to the top. And I'm not gonna lie to you, by the time the deadline comes, it might be Sanchez and Dubravka in goal. It might be Morgan Rogers instead of Brennan Johnson. I'd love to be brave enough to gamble on Amad Diallo because he is exquisite, but he may have to wait for just a little while longer. And maybe I will bottle Matheus Nunes and go for the guaranteed minutes of Daniel Munoz. But I like my starting squad, and I like the double transfer in game week 3, whether it is Alexander Isak, or whether it's someone like Joao Pedro, or Evan Nilsson, or even Jean-Philippe Mateta ahead of Villa, Sunderland and West Ham. And if Fernandes flops and Salah goes off, then I'll roll my 2 transfers into 3 and deal with that in game week 4. It isn't hard. And if you really need them, there's a Haaland draft and a Salah draft on the screen right now, and they'll probably do just fine. But I find it boring. I find it too safe. And I also think of all seasons, this is the one where the game has provided all the get out clauses we could ever need. But I don't think we'll need them. I have a sneaking suspicion that this time out, fortune will favour the brave. And that is psychological tip number 4 for this game. Always start the season believing your gambles will pay off and that you will have the best season of your life. Because for thousands of us that will be true, and for one glorious gladiator they will enter the arena as a mortal and they will end the season as a legend. And I believe in my heart of hearts that this season is the one that sees my name echo throughout eternity. And if I, the nightmare dreamer himself, can believe it, then you can too. Because they may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. So plot your strategy, plan your chips, then pick your 15 champions, and instead of thinking how it could all go wrong, dare to dream about becoming the FPL World Champion, because in 10 short months one of us will be. And if destiny decides that it is not to be me, then I sincerely hope that our champion is you.